Bianca was asking about a link to the recordings of them or the videos about them.
I meant recordings with some guided exercises.
Right.
If you can recommend some.
I'll have a look and see. I mean, to be honest, I only find stuff by Googling. I found a few myself, but the most helpful thing I found was that getting a person to help me one-to-one for a few sessions. I found it made a huge difference to what I was doing in between. But I can send, yeah, to be honest, if I were to send you a link to something guided on YouTube, it would just be by Googling again. Whereas the person I helped, I don't know, she's not very expensive, but she does cost a little bit of money, but she has helped me a lot. And she, goes to Angela's retreats, and I found her good. She lives in Canada, so I can send you a link to her and see what you think.
It would be a place to start, even. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think actually, if she even does, I think she does like a free introductory session, 20-minute getting to know you session. I'll send a link to her anyway. That's the start. I had a message. Sorry, before we. I think the reason I couldn't start my camera because there was a dialog box said this meeting is being live streamed. Is that a plan that you had, Vince?
No, it's only being live streamed to me. It's a private thing.
Oh, I see. To get to your note taker, is it? So
yes,
you can
my
take.
note taker. Yes.
Oh, now I see. I didn't see that message before. Okay, thank you.
Well, we've got David J and David B tonight. Still in Vietnam. Oriental structure behind you.
Yes, I'm still in Vietnam. I'm doing a break of moving, so now I'm staying the same place until the 12th of April. So that's
okay.
That's good for me.
Yeah.
For all of us, have a pause. Yeah.
Not moving. Yeah. How are you, Ramiz? I didn't hear back from you whether or not I think 7 a.m. in Cairo was suitable for you on Wednesdays, but I went ahead anyway when I didn't hear from you. Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine.
Sorry?
It's okay. It's good.
Good. Good. Yes. Hello, Gitty. It's kind of good that tonight's meeting is a little bit smaller than the other one. Not so many people here. It's always a little bit awkward where to start, isn't it?
I want to ask a question.
Yes, please.
It's about inquiring about beliefs. When it's appropriate to inquire about what beliefs are running in the background, and when it's more appropriate to just feel what's happening. sometimes it feels like there is an impulse to inquire, but I don't know if I should engage with it. It's more like a distraction, or it feels like I need to do both, and doing one is like avoiding the other one.
Hmm. What comes to mind for me is that you are unsure, that you don't trust your instinct or your intuition, or that you might think that you can do the wrong thing. You can't do the wrong thing. It's one of the hardest things perhaps to incorporate in your life, and that is that you can't do the wrong thing. There is no wrong thing. But if it feels like doing something might be a problem, or it might get in the road of something better, then and this is the trick, the issue is not whether it will get in the road of something better, or not that there is a problem, but rather that you think there is. See, we look past things all the time. So when there is this conflict that comes up in you, which way will you go? Instinct will take you to the end result of this one or the end result of that one, or in that direction at least. When the actual issue isn't this one or that one, but rather the conflict itself. Do you kind of get what I'm saying here?
Yes, it's I'm seeing that there's some confusion, or some, like, I'm choosing between two things. So I can feel into this hesitation, or I can inquire into it. So it's like even the hesitation itself can have different approaches
Yes.
to see.
Yeah.
It can be like an infinite loop, like.
Yes, it can. And there is no successful outcome or no failure. Neither of those things actually exist. We only create them. So the fact that you have that conflict, that's where the interest is. That's where the juice is. That's where you can look, not at what the conflict's about, just about the arrival of it. So be a little more specific. You said that you are conflicted about whether to inquire into something or whether to inquire into that is actually to avoid something else. Is that accurate?
No, I mean to inquire into the beliefs, or to feel into the underlying emotion, tone, or something.
Right. Hmm.
Like, I feel there's energy in the body, and there's discomfort maybe, or something. I can feel into it, and I can inquire into what beliefs is I'm having in the background.
Okay. So you see straight away you're giving yourself a choice to look at what exists or to think about what exists? You see that choice? So when
Yeah.
if you're going to inquire into it, what you're going to do is think about it, aren't you?
That's my concern, that I would be just thinking and in my mind.
Yeah. I would say trust the one that takes you into your feelings as a give that priority. Now you still will think about it, of course, but you're not thinking in a hypothetical way. You're looking at, you're investigating and describing what actually exists.
Yeah, I want to just to like use the inquiry as a way to get more deep in the feelings and the sensations.
Okay.
Or something that get me in more than out.
Yeah. So you're getting seduced by the idea of improvement, of some better outcome.
No, I think I'm going to. I am thinking about seeing more clearly.
Yes.
Maybe that's kind of improvement. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think, David? David B, David J, either of you? Help me here. I feel like I'm not being very clear, maybe. What are your thoughts about what Ramez is saying?
Well, I think every time there is a that a choice, like it's one or the other, often it's confusion or doubt arising already, because it's not really you inquire feeling or you inquire belief. All you do all the time is inquire into your experience as it is in the moment. And most of the time it's almost impossible to observe a belief without feeling something. It's almost impossible to feel something without believing something about it. So often both of them are a kind of mirroring each other kind of constantly. And there is no bad path or bad way to approach it. But I agree with Vince, the only way to be careful is not to think about it. So there is a way to approach belief that is not thinking about belief. So each time you feel that it's one or the other, there is no real choice in this. Because you will always feel that you are in a crossroad, always. Whatever you do in life, you always feel, oh, I have this is there. I did is this path or this path. And when you choose belief, after the next question is which one, right? And after it's, yeah, but in which direction will you approach the belief? And after it's, so there is always this sensation of choice appearing in front of you. But it's another way of saying that there is no wrong path. I'm saying what Vince said in a different way. Like everything you choose is good. And even if you feel that you have mistaken, this mistaken is your way to trust and to find your own instinct. So it's not a mistake anymore, you know? Because the way to learn anything and to be very good at something, like you want to be good at going deep inside your feeling, to feel yourself, feel what's happening in your experience. Well, it's to kind of do mistakes, you know. So mistakes are not mistakes. Mistakes are just lessons. So everything you do, it's a lesson. That's the way I would approach it. I don't know if this makes sense to you.
So that's a way of thinking about it, about what to do. I reckon Rowena could tell you how to do it.
Well, I did miss the beginning of the conversation. What I can share, Ramiz, is what I do if I get caught up in thoughts and I see I'm getting in a loop. Immediately, it's a gift because it's pointing to a pattern being held in the body, which needs to be looked at. And the pattern in the body, which is sensations, can produce also, can have a label of either an emotion, which in a way or a feeling, because sometimes people can say, well, I feel cold or I feel hot so that's not an emotion, or otherwise I feel sad or I feel angry, so you've got either but a feeling or a belief that has a word label. Once you say, oh, I feel sad, or oh, I feel confused, then the question is, okay, so how do I feel now? Where am I feeling this sadness? Where am I feeling this being confused? So every time there is a thought about something, if you can say, how does that feel? It's like you're getting deeper into the feeling sensations in the body. I'm not sure if I'm expressing that very clearly, but does that make sense to you? If you can ask the question of yourself, how am I feeling? How is this feeling in the body to feel like I feel right now? I'm angry at so-and-so, or how does that feel in the body? And it's always, you can always, until in the end, you just can rest there and just be with the sensations and watch them. They don't need to go. Obviously, strong sensations. Maybe you could allow yourself, you can be there a little bit, but you need to give yourself the time. It's like a meditation almost, the time to be with strong sensations. Otherwise, oh gosh, I've got to go, obviously you can go back to it. And it's a very useful practice just to go back if you have to leave in the middle of something, which is, that's life. But there's always, that's the way I work with myself.
So just talking about how to investigate it. So always move in the direction of feelings, sensations. But
Yeah, with this question, the question is key though. How does that feel? How does that feel?
Yeah. So when we investigate, if we start thinking about it, well, we're just getting away from it. But here's a really interesting and a very fundamental point. If you think that you've got a choice about which way to do it, you're fooling yourself. You don't have a choice. What will happen is what will happen. So this is really fundamental, really basic. And once you get your head around that, well, not your head, but once you can really accept that, you never have a problem about making a choice again, because there is no choice. What will happen is what happens. And what happens had to happen. Couldn't be any other way. So the idea that if I do it this way, I might cause problems, or I might miss out, or something, it won't be as good as if I did it the other way, or which way is the right way. that in itself is just a diversion. You don't have a choice about what way you're going to do it.
I wonder how much, if Ramiz has investigated into those questions of doership and separation.
I did, but I got more confused. It's very hard to shake this feeling of agency.
What's confusing you?
If I have a choice or not. It's like, for example, I have this, when I inquire into sometimes what I feel, there is a belief that I'm avoiding something. I'm avoiding whatever. It's like a pattern. I avoid things. And
Have you tried some
and it
simple,
do it.
sorry,
So I feel like I'm avoiding something, and it implies that I can not avoid it or something like that. So I can, engaging with thoughts seems like dead end, like I can argue with whether I avoid something or not. It feels like it's not the way.
Yeah.
I can fool myself. I can say that, well, there's nobody avoiding anything, or I have no choice. And I don't know if this actually have any impact or effect or on
yes,
what's
no.
happening.
Yeah.
Have you tried some simple exercises to investigate that choice?
I try with simple things like walking. It's not clear for me. I can see it both way. I can see that things happening, and I can see that I can choose.
Can you see that when the idea comes that you might be avoiding something, that is looking past what the actual issue is, that the idea that you're avoiding something is a mind seduction thing for you to start looking at what it is you're avoiding, when in fact the issue is the feeling that you're avoiding something. So what is the feeling that you're avoiding something? Not whether you are or not, but what is the feeling about?
I do feel into this, and I do almost all the time. I feel into my body, the sensations. I almost daily cry, and I feel completely helpless. And I feel into this every day.
Right. So how do you feel to feel helpless? How do you know it's helpless?
I feel like I'm powerless, and the body feels like it's freezing. It's
Becoming
the things
immobile. You mean by freezing? You don't mean cold. You mean
I feel like when I'm thinking about something I need to do, or I think I need to do, or something I'm avoiding, my body feels like it's holding me back. It contracts.
okay.
And
So how does it feel like it's holding you back? Where do you where do you get the idea that it's holding you back? What does your body feel like? Where is the feeling in your body?
And shoulders and the throat.
Right. So what's the
And
feeling in the shoulders and throat?
it's like vibration, electricity.
Right. So how do you take that feeling of vibration and turn it into something that is holding you back? It's not the feeling.
It feels like
that is it?
it feels like I know, body know.
It's a contraction, a vibration, you said. But you're saying that that vibration means something. And I'm asking you, do you get that meaning from the body, or do you get it from some story that you bring to the sensation?
I don't know. Maybe both. There's contraction. There is dense
Yes.
energy.
Yep.
And it's vibrating all the time.
Right. And
And
so,
it's not like I'm avoiding it. I feel into it, and I feel it
yes,
all the time. And
but what makes it more than just a sensation?
because it's like I'm putting my life on hold. I'm not doing it.
But that's not from the sensation, is it? That sensation is not saying you're putting your life on hold. The sensation says vibration and contraction and heavy. But it doesn't
But
say anything about putting your life on hold, does it?
there is some kind of connection, like
Right.
the sensations responds to uh, the things I'm avoiding.
Yes, yes. You say that. So because you have these things in your life that you're avoiding, whatever they are, and then you have a sensation or several sensations that arise from that, you're connecting the two. You're saying that that one is connected to that one, that the sensation is connected to the situation. What I'm saying
When,
is I'm saying it's not actually connected to the situation. You just think it is.
when I ask myself, I want to do this, or
Yeah.
the body responds no. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel this is the connection I'm referring to.
Yes, right. But is it a real connection? That's what I'm saying. Just because one happens and then the other one happens, and I can see that what you say, it seems like really, it seems like it's accurate to say that they're connected. But what I'm saying is, what is the actual connection? Let's look at the sensation and look at the situation, see them as two separate things, and see if is any actual connection between them. Logic would say there is, but is there any tangible connection? Is there anything that tells you, that proves to you, that shows you, other than logic, that there is a connection?
I don't know. It seems like it doesn't really matter, the connection.
So all right. So the next thing is, because these sensations are not pleasant, there's also another connection that is made that says if something happens, these feelings will go away. Now that something might be that if I don't go where the feelings appear to tell me not to go, then they'll ease up. And is what I'm asking you now, is there actually a connection there as well?
That's why I was asking about inquiry, because I'm feeling into these sensations and it feels like the energy is stuck in a way, and like there is something I'm not seeing clearly. There is a belief or and when I inquire, there are some beliefs that I can see, and this is why, and when you ask there is connection, then what's the point of inquiry? Should I not inquire?
Ramiz, got me thinking. So this avoidance is, and is it because you feel you should be doing something, or you want to be doing something that we're talking about? Is it a should, or is it you want to do it because you think that it would be good for you? There's some reason why you have the resistance.
I can't say really that I want to do anything.
But is something missing in your life?
Maybe a sense of connection, a sense of there's a lot of anxiety and fear, sadness, helpless, and
that prevents you from getting something that you need?
It prevents me from knowing what I need or knowing what I want.
Ramiz, just going back to earlier, you're talking about you have a lot of fear and anxiety and sadness. Those are all pointers. And sometimes, I mean, our thoughts are saying what we want is out there, but we project everything. What we're really lacking in our inner being, we think we're going to find out there. And so you've got these feelings that come up that could be at one time sadness or fear or whatever. And it's always like, well, how does that feel in the body? How does that feel in the body? And it's not about changing the situation. It's about seeing that the thoughts are saying, yes, it's out there. I can see, and I want that because because I feel inadequate, because I'm inadequate because I'm not, whatever. And so therefore I feel, and it's always the invitation to come back and because and be more and more quietly connecting with having the connection with ourselves that's always being called for. There are other things I understand also another blocking thing, which I can relate to is I had my life is, I'm doing a lot of caring work at the moment, and I don't have much time for myself. And I had huge, like in a battle, like I should exercise, I should do my exercises. And there was this body like feeling of, And it was like this tug of my mind was saying, I should, but it was like I couldn't fight it, and I had no choice. I was helpless, and I just would sit, and I would just sit with that feeling of just like, what is this resistance? I would sit with it, and sometimes, and it see where it developed, and sometimes actually sitting for 10 minutes with that feeling of, oh, what is it that I'm resisting? What is it? Then it went away, and then it's like, oh, I can do a few stretches, or I can do, or otherwise it was just like, I just want to sit. But there can be no agenda or goal, because we are, and there is this helplessness, but it's not related. It's not related to any doer. It's the same as choicelessness. It's like everything in a way happens, but there's these thoughts that say they should happen in a different way, or they shouldn't happen. That shouldn't have happened. But it's, yeah, trying to see, well, what's my agenda? Also with your thoughts, what will you get? You know, if you have more connection, how will that be? You know, and just this, that's where the inquiry is. Seeing the goal orientation versus the sensations being communicated by the body, because little by little, as Vince was offering you to see, is a sensation. It is innocent, but because through habit and time, it's become a sort of pattern, almost like a mechanical pattern. Oh, I don't want to feel that because of this. There's a thought that it's connected, but being able to stay more and more with the sensation, has no more to say than rubbing your hands or placing your hands on your thighs and say, well, what does that say? And it doesn't say anything, and the sensation is just a sensation, but because there's a dislike of being fully in that sensation and a desire to want to run away from it, then that's the diversion into the mind. And I would suggest a little bit, just for now, even dropping body yes or body no, because that can become also a thought-based, trying to interpret, and it's maybe not terribly useful. It's like an extra thing, just trusting the body. And if there is a resistance, just like sitting with that, because I have to tell you, when you said I feel helpless, I had like a shock of energy and an expansion in my body. And it was like, yes, that was the way it went to me, because I'm not fighting anything. But if you feel helpless because you want to get something, then there's there's a dynamic going on, because the true nature of helplessness is being squashed by thought, desire of ego that wants something. I don't know if that makes sense, but that was my boost. It was actually, it was like a vitality boost to me when you said I'm helpless. It's sort of crazy, but that's how it was, because of that being our, essentially we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to jump in here. I kind of feel that, Ramiz, I feel that you're almost, how can I put it? You're incapacitated by your overwhelming, life is overwhelming for you, and you're almost, even some really simple movements appear to be too much for you. That's my feelings about it, and I don't know how accurate that is. And so I think what we need to do for you is the value for you is in giving you some little things to do that will just move you a tiny little bit in the right direction. And what comes to mind is that if you were to spend the next period of time concentrating on getting underneath labels that turn up. So when you say you feel scared or you feel anxious or whatever label that you use, if you were to dismiss the label and just examine, don't even investigate. Don't investigate implies looking for a pattern, so to speak, but don't do that. Don't even go that far. Just look for what exists. And every time you find yourself thinking with a label, dismiss that and go beneath it. Go beneath to what the sensation is, what the feeling is, without adding any meaning to it. And the labels always want to add meaning to it. And if you can just avoid those labels, get into the sensations, and don't, for the moment, don't even think about what's the best way to do it. Just whatever happens is what will happen. Don't go looking for the best way. Just look at what the sensation is. And the idea that sensations mean something is purely mind stuff. Sensations are just sensations. It's because you give them meaning that you get incapacitated, in my mind. I don't know how you feel about that bit of direction, but what do you think?
I think the past few months I was mostly focusing on the sensations and disregarding the labels, and it feels like some kind of stagnation, like stuckness. Nothing is moving,
Right.
and that's why I was asking about inquiry.
Yep. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we need to go to the next step then, right? What do we do with the sensations when we recognize what they are? So it feels like for you that when you see what the sensation is and you can clearly define the sensations and you're not putting labels on them, that there's nowhere to go. Is that right at that point?
It's like, is the sensations trying to tell me something?
They're not, the sensations are not trying to tell you something. Yes, we would like them to tell you something maybe, but no, they're not. Well, they kind of are. What they tell you is that they've got nothing to tell you. What they tell you is that they're just sensations. So a sensation, you were saying earlier how that sensation felt like it was, or those sensations felt like they were holding you back. Well, that you don't get that from the sensation. That's a story that you bring to it. The sensation doesn't have any instruction. So, okay, so maybe then what we need to do is see that. Can you?
Yeah. How to decouple this belief with the sensation?
Yes.
It
How to
seems
decouple them? Yeah. So when you say you are focusing on the sensations, I suspect that you're not getting all the way, so to speak. You're not. You're actually getting diverted off into what they might mean before you get into the pure sensation. Does that make sense? Hmm.
I think I'm feeling them. Sometimes I ask questions, but most of the time I'm just feeling them.
Yeah, okay.
And sometimes they even become enjoyable in some cases.
Yeah. Do you find they change when you're feeling them?
Sometimes they become soft. They feel nice, and sometimes they feel dense and painful. And
Okay.
they change, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that you are tricking us, Ramiz, because you started saying that you were avoiding, you have a sensation of avoidance, and you cry every day. You feel miserable. You feel anxiety. You feel fear. You feel, I mean, you feel almost all of the negative spectrum. So maybe you are avoiding just peace, and everything positive. So, and after you said that you feel stuck, but you can feel your sensation that are changing. There is moment where you feel even that is nice. So I don't see any avoidance and I don't see any stuckness in there. So I don't understand where is really what more.
I think avoidance, I mean, avoiding more life.
That's what
I'm not avoiding the feelings. It feels like there's a belief. I'm just I'm starting to see now that I must know what I want in life. And in the relative side of things.
And when you speak of something that's missing, you've mentioned before that it's connection. What is it that you want from all of this? What do you want what's that primary motivation for you?
It's more like fear of being alone. More, it's not wanting something specific. It's like anything that doesn't make me feel alone.
Can you set this sentence in positive? I mean, the other way around. Because now you are saying what you want to avoid, right? Say it. What is that you want?
I don't know.
Well, I will just support you a little bit in this, because if you don't want fear and you don't want to be alone, what is the opposite of fear and what is the opposite of loneliness?
Safety and connection.
Okay, so you want safety and connection. So this is something that you can recognize already for yourself. You want safety and connection. So you want something in life. What is wrong with wanting safety and connection?
Because they seem to be not out there. I can't find them.
I don't understand. You cannot find them?
They are unfindable. I can't find them.
Yeah, but I mean, you said the problem is like you don't know, you don't have an intention, or I forgot what you said, but you want something.
I meant it in a practical way, like do I want to do this job or not? Like simple things.
What's
But
keeping,
it's like whatever I try to like an object of desire, object of something to seek. I try to imagine that it will give me this safety and security and connection, but it always illusion. It's not true. Nothing gives me this sense of safety, and I know it's not out there.
Yes. So what is the problem? I don't know. I don't understand. You want something and you know where it's not. So in opposite, you know where it is. And that's what you're doing. You are in this process. Like the question that said David is very interesting because you know what you want. So what do you want of this meeting of us? What do you think? What is your intention with this? Because you know what you want connection and security. You know where they are not outside of you. So how can we, all of us, support you in this process?
have you ever felt security and safe?
That's, I was asking myself this, did I ever experience this? How I am seeking something without knowing what it is. Like I must have some sense of what it is, but I can't really identify in a memory or something.
So there's something that makes you feel unsafe.
Yeah, it's at first it was like the natural state that I never questioned why it feels uncomfortable, and it's become clear for me that this is a sense of fear and distrust in life in general. And I discovered that nothing gonna give me this security in life, in external life. And that's why I'm exploring the desire itself, the question, the need itself. And being in this spiritual thing is actually making things worse in the way that it makes me doubt myself even more.
Well, lack of safety is incapacitating. So that's a problem if you don't feel basic safety and security. And you say that you don't identify when you felt safe and secure, or you don't identify with feelings of safety and security. You don't find that, or you don't know it.
No.
Do you remember when? Can you say anything about how that came about?
I don't remember a beginning. It's like it's always been like this.
Like we talk, I remember we have a similar discussion 2 weeks ago, and you were sharing this kind of like you are saying right now that you don't have like a somatic experience of feeling safe, a somatic experience of feeling welcome and safe, and it's very, very difficult to inquire without this ground, without these feelings inside of you. And I wasn't there at the last meeting, and I remember there was this offering that you focus on something sensation that are agreeable in you, to kind of start to feel this security in your daily life. But apparently you haven't found this experiential like still somatic experience of security.
Yeah, I've been doing that exercise. I was trying to sense pleasant sensations, the breathing, the even like the warmth of a cup of tea, and it feels nice. It feels but I can't really say if like the contraction keeps asking for my attention.
As babies, we don't have the capability to make ourselves safe. So that sense of safety is provided by the protection of others.
I'd just like to jump in here and say, there's no such thing as feeling safe. Somebody who feels safe doesn't feel safe. There's no feeling of being safe. You can describe that how you are as being safe if you bring a story to it, but there is no such feeling as feeling safe. There's the opposite. Certainly you can feel unsafe, but if you're safe, you feel nothing. You don't know you feel safe unless you think about it. You just don't feel unsafe. So what you're looking for is a phantom. It doesn't exist. In my mind, others might disagree with me, but that's my take on it.
I agree with you, Vince, but at the same time, I don't think it's useful, because if
Yes, no, I don't know if it's
spirituality,
useful either.
if spirituality is making things worse, I don't think that saying that there is no choice and all there is hopelessness. Yeah, I get it, I understand, and I get it, but there is at
No, I
some
don't
point,
think that all there is hopeless.
if you feel hopelessness and you say someone there is only hopelessness, I mean, yeah, maybe you can go through the eye of the needle, but it's
also
I don't know, it's
Yeah.
person, yeah.
So what we need to
I think
focus
what I'm
on isn't
getting,
what's missing, but rather what is there.
Something you said, Ramis, you talked about having a cup of tea. I've got my cup here now, it's empty and it's cold. But this is something, it's not for any goal or anything, but if you close your eyes and when you've got a warm cup of tea and you feel the warmth of it before you even start sipping the tea, well, when it's not too hot, obviously, to burn your fingers, and you're holding the cup of tea in with your eyes closed and just breathing and feeling that warm cup of tea, dropping any labels of whether it feels nice or not nice, just the sensation of your hands, and sort of dissolve into just the sensation. This is to get deeper into the sensations, just dissolving. And then dissolve so much that maybe you won't know where your hands end and the outside of the warm mug begins. And the feeling, the sensation, is just purely sensation. So much so that all your attention is just absorbed by that sensation. That's just like a simple thing to pick up,
Yes,
just
so
to
when,
find.
when you get beneath the labels that say hands, warm, cup, all that stuff, there is just that sensation that we have to put labels to describe. But if we can just get to that pure sensation where there is just that, then there can't be any meaning to it. There is just the sensation. That feels to me like that's where that's the spot. That's the spot for you to go to. Now you say you do that, but somehow you're still applying meaning to it.
Hi, could I just jump in? I'm just getting the feeling that it's about safety. I think a lot of things need to be unpicked in terms of what you feel is safe. So maybe looking at thought patterns around safety, because I too looked at safety and I sort of had to write down what safety means for me. And I don't think you can get that from looking in your body. I don't think that's about thought patterns and not about specific sensations yet. Look, but you have to really look at, like you saying, Vince, really having a look at underneath all of it and underneath the labels and everything to pure sensation. And I think that's hard to look at when you're feeling unsafe.
Yeah, they can go a
Because
little.
it's all about thought. So I had to unpick what safety meant for me personally, and a lot of things came from that. But that's just a throw in.
There is something tangible to work with. What helped you? What would you suggest he does?
I would say I would sort of like do a little mind map. You know, you put safety. This is what I did. Safety in the middle and all the little offshoots. When am I safe? Where am I safe? How does safe feel? So the lots and lots of questions that, because safety is a big one, and it is like you say, it's mainly about how we think about being safe and when do we feel safe, and are we with people when we feel unsafe. So maybe a mind map for safe and a mind map for unsafe, and looking at the various when, why, how factors. I think it's a big one to unpick, and sitting with the feeling of unsafe. What does unsafe mean for you? So sitting and looking at it, is it because of people or places or
Unspecified things?
unspecified things? Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
And that, yeah, I'll leave it. Sorry, yeah, leave that.
How do you respond to that one, Ramiz?
I don't know. I feel like engaging thoughts is tricky.
Why do you feel it's tricky because they might seduce you, or in what way? Why do you think that that's tricky?
I can get lost in them maybe, or
Yep. Okay.
deceive myself.
So I imagine that though, if you're doing what Helen said and you make that mind map of that, you'll very quickly see how they are just thoughts and how they don't have any power. Now, maybe you already know that, but that might be a way to make it clearer, I wonder.
I'm more curious about beliefs.
Are beliefs more than thoughts? Were they a particular kind of thought?
They feel true because
Yes.
they are beliefs. They feel more sticky maybe.
Yep. So can any thought actually have a characteristic of being true? That's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, some thoughts can be more accurate, but we're not really talking about accuracy here, are we? We're talking about that stickiness, that belief that says we have to give this, we give this more credibility. It's more than
You
just.
talked before. You said before that a delusion becomes illusion.
Yes.
And for me, some thoughts I can see how they are illusions, but some beliefs they still delusion. Maybe they still feels real.
Yes.
Like the feeling that I exist here. I'm suffering. It feels real. It feels a sense of separation feels real.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like thought.
Yeah. Okay. Are any one of us here on the screen more connected with anybody else on the screen than you are connected with somebody on the screen?
I don't understand.
Okay. So, well, what I'm saying, what I'm kind of looking to make clear is that what is a sense of connection? What is an actual connection? What is an actual connection? And I'm saying that nobody is connected to anything except in their feelings. Yet you feel you're less connected than other people. If I'm right, I mean, I might be wrong about that, but I imagine that you don't feel what you're chasing there. You want to be connected. You want to feel connected. But whatever it is, this connection that you want, where is it? Show me that outside of yourself. Does it exist anywhere? Actually, I feel connected to all of you in various levels. But is there any actual connection, or is it just a feeling that I've got? Mind you, I wouldn't want to lose that feeling. It's nice. It's a good feeling. And I feel sad that you don't have that feeling. But does it have any existence outside of a feeling? How come
The
I'm
absence,
connected and you don't?
Gita wanted to say something.
the absence of that is destabilizing. It's hard to identify with it if you don't know it firsthand. And what I hear Ramiz saying that he lacks that basic security
Sure.
that is foundational. And that undermines your whole existence. It feels like it does.
Mm.
It seems to. It seems to undermine your basis of relating to the world. So I can't. It seems to me that there's something to be explored in that direction. How that lack came about. I know what it's like to go through life without that fundamental sense of connection and the ability to connect. It's incapacitating.
Could I say I don't I was thinking Vince or Dave Remiz but the question just about the feeling of connection, I lack this stuff as well. You know, we've talked about this before, but when you said a few minutes ago, Vince, about a feeling of safety, I think you said that before. I'm thinking it's the lack of a feeling of fear or something that you could call safety. It's just, there's no feeling of safety. It's just when you don't feel afraid or don't feel some threat is going to arise or don't think or believe something terrible is going to happen any second. If that hasn't been there for a while, you go, oh, I feel safe now because I haven't had a fear, belief or thought for a long time. I feel like when I was feeling into what you were asking about connection just now, I was like, oh yeah, everyone's connected and then the self-criticism comes in, goes, oh, I'm no good though, so people won't like me. And so I feel like the feeling here is the feeling of not connection, the feeling of I'm not good enough, the feeling of I'm not, people don't like me, I'm not connected. So there's no feeling of connection maybe, but there could be a feeling of not connection or a feeling of not good enough that you can find, and maybe that could be unraveled a little bit. And once if it's unraveled, I haven't got the solution for that right now. If that gets unraveled in some way, then connection is just a natural state underneath, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I can remember feeling very lonely. I can remember feeling, and I remember one of the major thoughts that I had at that time, and I thought, oh God, I don't know how long ago it was. When I was a kid, it was most of my life as a kid, I guess, but I felt like nobody knew me, nobody understood me. And there was that feeling of loneliness that went along with that. Wow, and I didn't realize, I don't know where that went or when that went, but that went a long time ago. I haven't, and now I still feel like nobody knows me, but I don't care. It's a bit weird, but yeah, yeah. And I used to even say, if you knew me, you'd like me. The only reason you don't like me is because you don't know me. Yeah. You don't know where I'm really coming from.
And
So
did you feel a need? Did you feel the need for a desire to reach out and to connect?
I must have, because I behaved in a way so that people would like me. I wanted people to like me. So I was always doing it. And I even realized at one point that I used to talk like the person I was talking to in an attempt to get them to like me. Not consciously, but yeah, I recognize that. So in my own weird way, Remiz, I can relate to what you're saying. And I do remember how horrible that feeling was. It was a really horrible feeling, that one of nobody knows me, I'm alone. Yeah.
I want to share something that is very interesting where we are going now, because it dawned on me a lot about clarity, because I think there is a lot of clarity that is coming into me now, and it's really related to what we are talking, because the non-dual process of revelation, I mean, what we are doing now, this phase that we are right now, it's about seeing the blockage that we have, that we build inside of us, that block us to the reality, which reality is it's all of the positive aspects that you can imagine. So this is the first, this is the non-dual part, is understanding duality. It's like, I really saw that, like, the more I feel clear in me, the more clarity I have, the more I see confusion, and the more I see problem, the more I see dysfunction, the more I see, like darkness, and it was a really problem for a long time. But now I understand, because the purpose is to see clearly, and the only things that there is to see, it's objects, it's kind of problems. You see more of yourself. And with this in mind, I want to clarify something, because often we say the hopelessness, there is no goal, there's no intention, everything is good and everything. I get it. But what happens is, like, it is infinity that is forever peaceful, and that's what we are. When there is a feeling of loneliness, automatically you will learn to go back home in a way, and there will be the impulse, the desire, the intention to connect to someone. So it's only when there is a problem to arise that there is an impulse for a solution. So this impulse is very, very healthy. It's very normal. It's not like there's a problem, it's time the problem suffer forever. No, it's normal that when there is a problem, you will find the impulse to find a solution. The point is, with non-duality, we're just adding a layer that the solution is like you understand that there is no problem, that you are everything. But this movement is very important to understand, for me, to be very clear about those kind of levels, because otherwise it's kind of can be misunderstood, and after all of the impulse to get better, to have a better life, kind of be destroyed, because the stay in hopelessness, there's no hope for you. Yeah, it's true, but we have to understand that there are impulses that are very natural and they're very healthy to follow. And non-duality is not about getting life into you, it's to dissolve confusion. I don't know. Yeah, I think this perspective, it's interesting.
Yep. So that brings up for me, that's really good, David. And I think we need to remind ourselves that whatever it is that we're experiencing, especially if we label it as a problem, we're misunderstanding it, because what it is the best solution that we can come up with at the time. So even though it might be incapacitating, it's still our best solution at the time. It is a solution, not a problem. And by recognizing that, we can embrace it. And that's our best way out of it. That's our best way through it.
Exactly, because like, for example, if I feel loneliness, Okay, I feel loneliness in me, you know. And if I'm in kind of non-dual path, I will start to how can I feel connection, you know? And when you have this kind of thought or prayer or impulse, if you really mean it, the universe will point you to your loneliness again. Because the problem is like you don't understand, you don't see clearly what is the loneliness, what it is made of, where it comes from, what is the story behind it. So look at it. That's why many people who start the spirituality, like real spirituality, and then they really go deep inside, they start to feel that my life is miserable. I mean, it's worse than before. Yeah, of course, because that's what you want. You can only see darkness because light it's everywhere. And ultimately is darkness, but it points to you like there's a blind wall and there is a point on it. Well, you will focus on the point and all of the white wall will kind of disappear. And this is our situation. And we're trying to open up the perspective to go in a higher perspective. So yeah, it's interesting. So I wanted to share this kind of theory of metaphysics because I feel that when Ram is talking, and I am in this also, and I think it can speak to a lot of people that because it's not about what you do or what you don't do. So you can do everything it feel right to feel better. You know, you can find a better job, you can find a better wife, you can have kids, or it doesn't really matter, you know, because the solution is not in the world. You can do everything you want in the world. It doesn't matter. So it's really about freedom. It's not withdrawing from the world. It's really about freedom in all levels.
And Ramiz, I don't know if it means anything or not, but I was aware that in the earlier part of the meeting that you had your video turned on before you turned it off, but for quite a while you had it turned on, which was unusual for you. I mean, I have seen your face before, but you usually have it turned off pretty much from the beginning, and tonight you didn't. You had it turned on for a while, and I wondered whether or not that meant something. I had a story that maybe it did, just in my own mind. I'm not asking you if it did or not. I just wanted to share that with you. I'm imagining that there has been some change, even if it's not a huge change for you. And what you said about doing this spirituality stuff, making it worse for you, I get the feeling, I get what you're saying about that. But I would put it to you that it appears worse because you're more in touch with that unpleasant stuff. And the consequence of that is that, once again, that is a movement in the right direction rather than a going backwards kind of thing. There's no going back. I keep saying that. You can't go backwards. Yeah. So how are you traveling, Don? Are you getting anywhere?
Yeah, maybe just a bit slowly, possibly. Thanks. Yeah, you think I should be. I was thinking I should be feeling much better today. I had some good stuff because I'm meeting Alan and he's been great and getting at some stuff slowly and fear and things. And then I met Luciana yesterday because I do the LU thing with her once a week. And a really excellent session. I was really kind of felt really present and really, it was like tears in my eyes from, I don't tend to cry from sadness, more from gratitude. I was just feeling really present and really like myself or whatever you might say. But yeah, it's really, I'm able to connect. I don't know if the word is connect because it's there already, but yeah, it seemed really real or really me or really true or something, the proper presence, present feeling, presence. But the other, yeah, but the next thing is always like, the first thought is always, thoughts are going to come and get me. And they do. And, you know, and like whenever I listen to Angelo, he has this kind of two-step thing. You kind of stabilize, I guess, you know, stabilize in some kind of presence. And then you turn towards thought and then you start to watch for the next thought and start to notice that you're not made out of thoughts or whatever you disidentify. And I just haven't been able to do that yet. I'm still bamboozled by thoughts. I believe them. I feel they're about me. I get really confused. So I'm sort of frustrated. You know, I can get to a fairly stable present state sometimes with the help of other people. And then I'm going, oh, now I have to disidentify from thoughts. This is really flipping hard. I find that really hard because even the meta thought of I'm doing this wrong is always believable while I'm doing these practices or these inquiries. So that's where I'm just, you know, yeah. So I should feel really grateful. I've had some really good sessions this week. And yet this mountain of, I believe all these ridiculous thoughts is still in front of me, it seems like. And I just, it seems, you know, there's so many layers of belief in there and feeling, and it just feels like a long road, a long pathless path to not believe my thoughts.
Mm. And you've got this idea that it's a progression to get to where they won't hijack you.
I don't know. I'd like it to be quicker. I'd like just to see through it in one go or something. I don't know. I'd like just to kind of go, thoughts are just all.
Is it possible that could happen? That, like, I mean, for me, because of my experience, you know, I after 40 odd years of searching, one sentence just threw me off the cliff. You know, one sentence is all it took. After all that time, and all that time, I was like you. I was obsessive and I was persistent and and I just got nowhere, you know. And then one sentence changed my life. That was it. Do you imagine that that's possible for you? I mean,
Well, I do actually. I do kind of have a black and white. Yeah, because I had an experience I know I've described before, but like 20 whatever years ago, at a retreat that was just like night and day, like a flicking of a switch. I just suddenly didn't believe my thoughts and emotions anymore. And I just noticed it happening. I was like, oh, and that was that. And it went, you know, it continued on for 3 months. And then I must have just somehow started believing them again. But it was just like that. It was instantaneous. All my thoughts were just not about me anymore.
So it could happen.
Yeah.
Could happen, yeah.
So I don't know how to get to there again, or so. I mean, I'm trying to reproduce the same thing. I know, but it's just.
Don, have you just explored because you know in practicing direct experience, it's just thinking happening, and all the content of thought is left just to arise. And of course, what you were talking about is that happens. But have you ever practiced just saying thinking when thoughts come up? So it's like bringing it back to the ground base of the sensation of thinking, instead of it's like, you know, I'm looking at my green water bottle and I'm saying, oh, my green water bottle, it's got all these kinks in, and it's full of water. It's just seeing, touching. So you can do that with thoughts. I found that at times has been quite a helpful thing, because it just sort of, the thoughts are recognized, thinking's recognized, but thought content is not recognized. It's just, in a way, overlaid, whitewashed with a film of, oh, that's thinking. And it's good. I think it's helpful to say it more than once, like 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah.
so you're not you're not doing anything. You're just saying, oh, I'm noticing thinking. Thinking, but in fact, it's not even I am noticing, it's just thinking is happening. And you take the I, anything to do with I, out of it, you know, I'm thinking that thought and this is about me. You're just making it much more like impersonal, because the thoughts are just arising. Oh, notice thoughts arising. Yeah.
I can try that. Okay, I'll just say it very straight. My first reaction is the reason that won't work for me. Okay, it might work. I'll try it. Right? My first reaction is the reason that won't work. When I'm sitting here, and I always hear people, and maybe later I'll look back and I go, I was so dumb. Why didn't I listen to people? And talking about watching thoughts going past, I'm sitting here, and whatever what I might call explicit thoughts might be, you know, ones that I can see with words, could pass by, but kind of underneath or whatever, there's fear. I believe that something bad is going to happen any second, and I'm looking out for that in every direction all the time. And I know that's a bunch of thoughts and beliefs that are spinning all the time, but I don't see it very clearly. And on top of that, or behind that, is the absolute truth that I'm doing this wrong. And it's just a feeling, it's just a fabric of reality. I'm doing this wrong. And it feels like that. Every fiber of my being feels like I'm doing this wrong. And that's like, must be a thought as well, right? And it's very hard to see direct experience through fear and doing it wrong and looking at thoughts. I'm like, oh, Jesus, how do I see through that? And I just sit in that feeling while I'm doing practices of whatever kind, and I'm going, there's thoughts in there, I need to see through them. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, but Don, you just say that you sit with that feeling while you're doing practices. The feeling is the practice. You don't do anything else when that feeling comes, because it wants to be felt. Everything you're saying is, every pointer is, how does it feel to feel that? And so if you're trying to get rid of that feeling, you've got a little tug of war going on of the feeling that has been waiting maybe in the whole of your existence, of these uncomfortable feelings that have energy in them and contraction and unsettling, that are waiting, but they're so uncomfortable. And it's like, okay, well, I'm sort of going to feel them. I know they're there, but I want them to go away because I'm doing this other practice. And because I'm doing this other practice, and because those feelings are there, I can't do the practice properly. So therefore I'm doing everything wrong. And because the practice is to be with those sensations, and then if something happens, diversion happens, oh, thinking's happening. Oh, thinking's happening. Okay, thinking's happening. That's good. Now I'm going to go back into this, or otherwise divert yourself into going into the soundscape, sound field. And so you've got these 6 sensory scapes or fields, and you can choose any one of them to get you back, but giving it your attention until you then can get yourself back into the feeling, but that each one is given its full worth and not try to be doing 2 at once.
Yeah, I guess it just, I don't know what I'm even saying. I mean, I think, sorry, I think that I do try and do that. I don't even think that those things I've described are waiting in the wings to come up in my practice. They're there all day long. And I sit with them. And one of my fears, I don't know, I do sit with them. One of my fears is I sit and I believe them even more. I get really depressed and frightened because of the thoughts. Everything is consistent and feels true. And I'm sitting there. And if there's somebody helping me, like a therapist or some guide person, they can kind of help me. But I do that, I think. And I suppose, yeah, there is some kind of wish that it doesn't stay there forever, because there's stories in there that I believe, and they keep that whole feel like they keep the feelings in place and so on. So sometimes I feel like I'm making it worse by sitting with it and sort of believing the beliefs that are in there and listening to the thoughts and believing it more and more. And I'm going, is this the right thing to do here? Am I sitting with my feelings, or am I sitting with a story that I'm believing and making it worse? It feels.
Don, I want to tell you an absolute truth. There's no question about this one. It's absolute. Now, I don't know how you're going to react to it, but what I'm going to tell you is there is no question. It's absolutely right. Okay, 100% right. There's not a possibility in the world that what I'm going to tell you is not absolutely right, and that is that when you're doing it wrong, that's doing it right.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Okay, I just want you to work out how it's right. I wouldn't normally suggest anybody goes down the how path, but I think if you can put a bit of energy into working out how doing it wrong is doing it right, you might just discover something.
Yeah.
How is it possible that doing it wrong is actually doing it right?
I'll have to see. I don't know yet. Okay.
Yep, okay, that might take a while to think about it, feel it, whatever. Just play with that one for a while. Because it's true, there's no question in my mind, it's absolutely 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll see how that, yeah, thank you. It usually takes somebody, as I say, somebody with me. Even with somebody with me, it's bloody hard sometimes. But if I'm working with somebody, some therapist or someone like that, they can kind of keep me on track to not completely believe all my negative trips throughout the whole hour.
And for a while, yeah.
A little while, but then when I'm back on my own again, they all feel true again.
Yeah. So this one you've got to work out on your own.
Yeah. I'm not sure how. Okay, good. Yep.
And also, do you write down all the thought content? Do you sometimes say, okay, there's a lot there, I'm just going to write it all down? Each thought.
Somebody suggested that to me 6 months or a year ago or something, thinking I would spend like 20 minutes and get all the thoughts out of my system before my meditation. And I took her seriously. It was like 4 or 5 hours of writing per day. I had a cramp in my hand and my pen was running out, and pages and pages. And the thoughts never stop. They just go on and on and on and on and on. They never fucking stop.
It's not so much for stopping the thinking, because that's never the point of the stopping the thinking. It's just allowing the content, in a way, allowing what is the motor of creating the content of thought, allowing it to be seen, and just it sort of in a way concretizing, and often and also it's a way of doing it very mindfully, because each thought is maybe almost precious, and so you're writing it down. And you could even say, okay, you can't do all of your thoughts, but you can say, oh, that thought, and then you can ask yourself, is that true? And then you do it with the next one. But just making it as not as like I'm just writing all my thoughts down, like putting it into a tape machine, but giving a devoted practice to thought.
Yeah.
And then don't do it for 4 hours. Just give yourself like a quarter of an hour, and And then going through and asking, is it true? Because that when you're asking, is it true? You're asking your body and you're seeing, oh, okay, how does that, and then it's how does that feel? And you got a mind-body dialogue in place.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I can try that again. Yeah, okay. It was the body thing, because I guess a lot of the time I look at thoughts, they do seem to be true. So that's and then I think, gosh, I'm supposed to be seeing that they're not, or something. But anyway,
it's not even it's not about them being true or not true. All the questions are open. It's not looking for an answer. And so is it true? It's like it's a stopping to look. And then you go into sensation, which is completely separated. Sensation is a field of its own, as much as sight is a field of its own. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, stopping to look. That sounds good. Okay, yeah, thank you. I'll have a look and maybe I'll write some down.
Yeah, and please keep away from validating the thoughts, because that's not the point of the exercise. It's just to in a way stop the thinking. Is it true? You know, oh, you know, how would you even find the answer to that? By more thought, or otherwise looking elsewhere, you know?
Oh, well, that's what I would do. More thought, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gosh, and not going to more thought for the answer is to put my foot
No,
down.
the question is,
Yeah.
it's not, that is not the purpose of the question, asking if it's true. It's to, you're looking in a different place. You're almost going to a different level of understanding to find, and you're not looking for truth or non-truth.
Okay. Well, that's
Or
interesting.
any mental
yeah.
validation. It's like
Okay.
you're asking the universe, you know, in your
Okay.
body.
Good. Okay, good. Thank you. I probably hadn't grasped that part of it, I suppose, before. So I'll see how that goes. Thank you. Yeah.
How are you traveling, Sky?
Hey Vince, hey everybody. I'm good. No, I just wanted to be with you folks this morning, and Vince and I had a nice conversation a couple weeks ago, and since then, what I found is the search seems to be dropping away. You know, trying to get somewhere seems to be thinning out. And as a result, or I don't know if it's a result or not, but some different creative projects have taken on some life that weren't there before. And more appreciation seems to be seeping in. And and wonder too. So all is well. I mean, there's the usual I call it nonsense things at work, little dramas that pop up that I get swept away in, but they're not hitting me as hard. So appreciation, it's coming. It's great too. It's great to be here with everybody. And I mean, I still, when last time I was saying how I was obsessively, reading books and watching videos and trying to sort of hoping something would trigger or whatever. And I still enjoy intellectually enjoy the way that truth is conceptualized in what everyone is saying here right now and in different speakers, non-dual speakers that I like to listen to. I enjoy that, and sort of just looking at it as this enjoyment and not instead of, well, I've got to get somewhere. I was just a little concerned just now about Helen. Seemed to be going through something just now. And hope all is well.
Hi, thank you.
Was he right, Helen?
Yeah. It sort of hit me like a sort of cannonball, really. It was, I always thought I was doing things wrong and not right, and it was always everybody else's idea of right. But if you really look at it, nothing, it was done, but it wasn't wrong, it wasn't right, it wasn't wrong, it was just done. And that's a big one for me. Everything I do is always the wrong way or not the way that other people do it, and that's massive. That's massive for somebody who always thinks well, I think most people, no, well, I don't know, but right and wrong. But doing things wrong is a massive judgment, really, on what you're doing. And it's painful. It's painful because it's stopped me doing so many things, I think, that I would have done out of from my heart, like my artwork. I've not done my artwork for a number of years now, and I got such joy out of it. But that's a big one. I'm doing it wrong, and what do I do with it when I've done with it? And so yeah, so it was that, and it just it was sort of massive, really. Well, that might have to sort of percolate through, even though I've realised it. I think it's got a lot of percolating. So thank you for that.
Helen, you remind me of my wife. She's such a lovely, lovely person. And she also feels that she's doing it wrong, you know, and just sending you love, you know. That's what I try to do with her, and just you know, everyone that I know says, you know, Eileen, heart of gold, you know, and I feel that about you too. So.
Oh, just let her know she's not doing anything wrong.
She's also an artist, and the things that she comes up with. I mean, I'm an artist, but I'm more of a technician in the way that I build things. But she has this freedom, you know, this looseness to her work. She made me a Valentine, and it was just like this beautiful little collage that I could not have, in 100 years, I couldn't have done something like that. And I tell her this, you know, and she's like, oh, it's nothing, you know. So I hope that you can rediscover your art again. I feel the same way when I'm making something, you know, time goes away and I go away, and you know, I hope that comes back for you.
Do you want to say anything, Rebecca?
About this or about something else?
Anything? You got any questions?
Well, I have something to say about safety, and I also have something about maybe about doing it wrong. The one about safety was interesting to follow while Ramiz was talking about it. I may have talked about this before here. I did have a long story about how I'm never safe and why, because of childhood and all that stuff. And at one point, it just became self-evident and obvious that all that was non-existent. Just thought, just invented memory, and I just very suddenly, it was so clear that my sense of safety was just in me, and that I could be, I'd be safe or not, depending on what I wanted to do. And I was, safety was, it lost its label and became about being able to be more present, about just being able to be. And ever since then, I've felt safe all the time. Because it doesn't mean anything. Nobody's safe. No such thing as safety. But there is such a thing as being right with the world, as being where you are and being okay with that. So that's what happened to me. It had very real world consequences that I have a dog and I walk him in the woods, and some rather awful things have happened to me and to other people in the woods. And so I was never comfortable. But now I am perfectly comfortable. All that anticipation with, oh, something terrible is going to happen, it's just gone. It's just,
So what happened? What changed for you?
I don't know the words for it. It just became self-evident that it didn't, any of it mean anything.
Right.
It was just a story. I was holding on to this story so that I could hold on to my childhood or something. And I didn't need it. And it wasn't, the thing that always works for me is, does this work or not? Is this useful or not? Is this getting me anywhere or not?
So
And that's so,
isn't it? That's you stepping back and seeing things from a bigger perspective.
yeah, I guess so. Or it's just being more present. It's just, why am I spending my mental time scaring myself? Why would I want to do that? It doesn't make any sense. But then the second thing I wanted to say is something I'm a little bit stuck on. So quite a long time ago, several years ago, I stopped talking to myself. But I don't have any more a running monologue. Some of it's been replaced by saying something out loud, but I never know what it's going to be. Talking to the dog or a tree or something. And I belong to this group of older women who like to get together and tell stories, all kinds of stories. And that usually turns into pondering some question that comes up around the stories. And what they wanted to talk about last time was, how does everybody manage their worries? And everybody had worries about the future, about their old age, about money, about their relationships. And I don't worry because it doesn't get me anywhere. There's no point in it. It's the same question. Why would I sit around and make myself miserable? None of it's happened. And so I said that. And they started to argue with me. The way I saw it was they were threatened by it. And so where I'm stuck is, what?
You were going to take something away from them.
Yeah. So where I'm stuck is, should I have not said anything? Which is socially very difficult. Or should I have said it differently? Or what's happening here?
I'm the wrong person to ask for that. I'm always putting my foot in it.
But somebody else.
I would say it the way it comes out. I'm not worried about the right or the wrong thing. Yeah.
I didn't want to alienate these people. They're my best friends. You know, I didn't like the feeling. I didn't like the feeling that they distanced me just at that moment. They were fine, you know, the next week, but it didn't feel good at the time.
Well, you learn something when that happens. You learn by their reaction that that's a sensitive area to go to, maybe.
Yeah. So what do you do about other people's sensitive areas?
Well, it depends on who they are or how they cope with those things, I guess. Yeah, I don't know that there's any right or wrong way to do anything, but yeah, if they're sensitive to the point where they're gonna get upset, where they're gonna get triggered into an emotional reaction, that's probably no value in that, except negative value. But if they're going to reconsider something, maybe there's some value in it. So it's a kind of a.
So you don't know. You don't know.
Right. You don't know. Yeah, only by their reaction do you know. Will you go back there or will you leave it alone? Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess my conundrum is I don't want to lie. I don't want to not be who I am. I don't want to have to pretend something.
I agree big time. You know, like I refuse to be anything but spontaneous these days. You know, if I can't be authentic and spontaneous, well, if I can't be around somebody and be that way, I just won't be around them. That's how I feel. But I do recognize that I temper myself sometimes depending on who I'm around for that reason.
And there's nothing wrong with kindness. That's
right. Yeah.
That's what that is. Yeah.
And there is always compassion there, you know, like that's the thing, you know. Would I say something that is going to make somebody feel bad? Am I trying to punish them? Or if I'm trying to help them, that's maybe, but even that would be misguided. So yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. And you know, where I'm left with is, why am I worrying about that? It was last week. You know, it's over. It's and they're still my friends. So, but I guess it. So I'm not spending any time worrying about that exact situation, but it brought up a question about authenticity and about, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, I would wager that one of the reasons that your friends like you is because of your authenticity and honesty and wanting to challenge the status quo or whatever it is, you know. And as I think Vince has said before, you never know what you're offering, how it's going to help someone.
And even if it lands wrong in the beginning, it may spark something.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'll just blunder along and keep doing it.
What else can you do? What else can you
What
do?
else can you do? Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Good. This is good.
But I would just love to give some of what you've found, what you've got to Ramiz. I just love for him to stop worrying about blundering or doing it wrong, or for Don to do it wrong. You know, just who gives a shit? That's
Your feeling of rightness is entirely in yourself. You're doing it to yourself. One way or the other. If you tell yourself you're doing it wrong, then that's what you're doing. You don't have to do that. You don't have to think anything.
But that thing that happened for you when you had that, I guess you'd say, that realization where you suddenly were able to just step back and see the bigger picture, and so consequently that concern about doing it wrong just was gone because it was no longer in the picture, so to speak.
Didn't come up.
it's a discovery, that stuff. It's not something you can earn. It's not something you can do. It's a discovery.
Yeah.
And what we've got to do is kind of keep looking through every crack that comes up in front of us to see which one is we're going to see it through. It's a searching kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's all about all that came before, you know, it's like all the times that I thought I wasn't making any progress, I was preparing the way. You know, it's like that thing, enlightenment is accidental, and so all you can do is become accident prone.
Yeah. I gave somebody a line the other day that said something like, you know, it takes a lot of skill for a golfer to have enough luck to get a hole in one. Yeah, it's kind of
Yes.
like that, you know. You got to keep on there, and then you put yourself in the way of luck. That's what it really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. This is great.
So just never give up, Ramiz. That's the thing. You never give up. You just keep looking through every crack there is. You keep looking, and one day,
Eventually, you hit yourself over the head and wake up.
yeah. And usually, you know, I don't. Paul Simpson. He's one of the guides at LU, and he comes to one of the other meetings. He said he actually woke up when he was reading all of the Liberation Unleashed successful. I say successful, but people who had gone through the gate. So they're all in an archive, and he was reading all those archives, and he came to the realization that almost everybody that woke up was doing some really mundane task when they woke up. They didn't wake up at LU. They didn't wake up when they were talking to a guide. They woke up when they were doing the dishes or mowing the lawn or something else like that. It came to them when their defenses were down, when they weren't really looking hard. Yeah. So when we kind of obsess with looking, that's when it's not likely to happen, maybe. Yeah.
But you have to do the obsessing first
Oh yeah,
to
that
get
happens.
to get to the dishes.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
One of the things that somewhat changed my perspective to emotions is that they are not my emotions. It's like the sadness is not my sadness, it's sadness.
Yes.
It's just an experience that
Absolutely.
it's like breathing oxygen. Like it's not my oxygen. It's something that happens to people, and it's happening here.
Yeah. That's huge. That's a really big one. Yeah. It's just what is. It's not personal. Nothing's personal. Yeah. And that perspective that Rebecca found, you could almost say that was a kind of objectifying of things. It was seeing things like that, like they were just there. They were just something in their own right, so to speak. Not that they're a thing, but that they had no cause. They were the result of an infinite number of conditions, of circumstances, but they had no actual cause. They just happened. And that objectifying it, that seeing it from that perspective, just provides you with enough distance to not be sucked into it in the same way. Yeah. So they're not your thoughts, Don. They're just thoughts. I was amazed that you could write down thoughts for 5 hours and not get into a repetitive situation. They were all unique. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
There's some repetition, but yeah, this just goes on and on and on. Yeah, for ages and ages. It's ridiculous. Days and days of it. It's funny. Yeah, I keep asking myself if I can see that they're not my thoughts. Like I say, the feeling of me, and then I go, I should be trying harder not to. I know you laugh, but I mean, to see that it's not me. The feeling of me isn't me, and the thoughts aren't about me, and I'm looking at it over and over again, going, it's ridiculous. I keep kind of seeing it and then kind of not seeing it, and kind of, it's ridiculous how, I don't know, I kind of think it's a bit ridiculous. So I have a small, very small, silly story. I got a coffee machine 2 years ago, and there's just one button on the top, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to work. And I had to read the instruction manual, which is very embarrassing. And I discovered it was a kind of a thing where you, one of those Nespresso things, you have to put the capsule in and tighten it before it'll work. And I had to figure out how to tighten it properly, and then the button, and then, right? So, right, after I read the manual, how many more times did I have to go back and read it again to understand how to use it? The next time, 0 times, right? Once I knew once, that's the end of that. I know how to use that coffee machine now. I don't have to read it again. So I'm going, how many times do I have to see these thoughts, this feeling of me, and see it kind of clearly? And every single time I go back and I misunderstand again, I'm like, this is very frustrating to kind of see through it and then come back and be persuaded by the thing you saw through yesterday. I don't know.
Don't you think it's funny?
Maybe afterwards, maybe, okay, later. Ask me after enlightenment and I'll be laughing then, right?
You certainly will then, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just can't believe how stupid we were. Yeah. But yeah.
It's even the belief that thoughts, I mean, I was saying this about yesterday's session with Luciana, which was really lovely. And I've seen it before with distracting thoughts and with fear thoughts. It's almost the first thought is the thought that says thoughts can distract you. You need to, or thoughts can make you afraid. And the next thought is just a thought about fear or a distracting thought. And I'm going, hold on a second. This is all the thoughts are doing is just telling me they're going to distract me and then distracting me. There's no substance here. It's really obvious the thoughts are doing that. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get distracted now in a second. I better watch it. And then I get distracted. And I go, there's nothing happening except me believing thoughts about distraction. And I still fall for it over and over again. And I'm going, why am I letting myself do this? Why can't I just stay without getting distracted?
It's not a matter of letting yourself do it. It just happens, doesn't it? It just happens. You're not failing. It just happens. And it will keep on happening until it doesn't. And that's about the most logical way of looking at it that you can come up with. It'll keep on happening until it doesn't. When it doesn't, there won't be a reason why it doesn't. It just won't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It feels like a strong habit. Actually. Yeah.
It's a wonderful mystery how it works. It really is.
I need to go. Thank you all.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Need to sign off as well. So it's nice to see
Okay.
everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And do you get that since some beginning of this looking, this searching, this seeking, this idea that there's someone to get, since it started, that it wasn't actually some time in the past, that it's here now, it's right now. So even if you can say, oh, I first picked up my first spiritual book and started looking, seeking in 1976 or something, it doesn't matter, any of that, none of that matters, because it's right now, all of that time that's passed, every experience that's been part of the seeking is here now. It's all compressed into this moment. You're the accumulation of it all.
It's, yeah, I'm not sure if does that help me? I don't know. I mean, there's a sense of, so the timelessness of the present moment kind of thing. And yet there's also this, you know, like I say, this fear or belief that I can get distracted again, and there must be some, well, there might be some time involved in unraveling my tendency to believe my thoughts, or whatever I said a minute ago. Although, I mean, if it could happen instantaneously too, that would be wonderful, but I don't know, you know, we never know when that would happen. But it's funny, like the present moment seems quite timeless. And then I'm, as I say, you know, a bit disgusted with myself for going back to believing or being just dragged into, or I feel I have to be very vigilant, really. I mean, I know it's, again, I'm talking about making an effort, but to keep reminding myself to stay here, as it were, and not to let myself, because I feel, I don't know, I feel I'm compounding the problem by letting myself get distracted over and over or something.
Well,
maybe that's,
let me kind of come back again to this one. I want you to see that it's not that, yeah, don't this moment that you say, this now is not a moment that is sandwiched between the past and the future. This now is just, it's indescribable. It's not it, but it's not a moment, because a moment has duration, and this now has no duration, does it? Because the moment you think of duration, there's some mythical past and some mythical future involved, but there is no duration in this now. It is just this, whatever, you know, and it's ever changing, you know, so whatever. But so it's like you have an experience, and you can either have a memory of that experience, or you will have rather than or, you will have a memory of that experience if you do remember it, but that experience will have changed you. That experience that you had will have had some effect on you at both a physical and every level. Yeah. So you will be changed by that experience. So it exists now because of the change, right? It's not, so the bit that doesn't exist now is a memory. You know, it's a mental story you've got about the past. Right. So consequently, all of everything that's led up to this moment exists now. It's changed you, and it exists now. And if you want to project that in a forward direction, your ideas about what might happen in the future also exist now. So there is no past and future. There is only what exists now. The past is a memory. The future is a fantasy. But they both change you if they occur. Even if you had a fantasy about the future, it's going to affect you. now,
Yeah.
right? So that if you can capture that the essence of now in some weird way of capturing it, if it's not possible to capture it, of course, but that then the ideas that we have that are happening now about the past and the future, they will change you now. Just as your actual experience, your physical experience about in the past changed you when it happened. And that change exists now in a different form probably, but certainly it exists now.
I think I don't know, I think I'm hearing what you're saying. Did you ever, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know if, I was just going to say, did you ever talk to somebody who just wasn't interested in what you were saying? And I'm thinking maybe you're doing that now. I mean, like somebody who just is just constantly looking over this way, constantly, and you're thinking, would you just fucking listen? You know, just somebody really frustratingly constantly looking over their shoulder while you're talking, and you're going, are you even interested in what I'm saying? And you get really frustrated talking to that person going, you're not interested, are you? So I'm here, whoever I am, I'm listening, and then there's a person in here going and trying to pull me away, distracting me, and I'm going, stop doing that. I'm trying to listen to Vince. I'm trying to understand what he's saying. And it's just this feeling of this constant distraction, energy going, think about something else, distract yourself, or worry about something. And I'm going, no, I want to understand what Vince is saying. Stop.
I love you, Don. I do. That's great. Yeah.
It's just energy of, you know,
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, for sure. I've certainly been in that
away.
situation. Yeah.
My reaction to time is very strange. Thinking that the past, everything that happens already vanished. Like me 2 seconds ago, already dead. It's so freaky, and it's scary, but it's also exciting. It's
Freeing.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's like the impermanence of things, my attachment to people or things is like a rebellion to this fact of everything is dying. And it's like I can't really make anything staying or holding onto anything only by thought. Like I can only attach to thoughts. I can't really hold into anything. And it's scary. It's scary and it's exciting. What the fuck is this?
Yeah. It's just a beautiful mystery, isn't it? Just totally wonderful. Yeah. Okay, well, I think we'll wind up, eh? Mhm.
Yep. Thanks, Vince.
Okay.
See you tomorrow or the next, well, tomorrow or the next day for you, tomorrow for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
probably anyway. Yeah. Thank
Good
you.
one. All right, thank you. Yeah.